Good evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here. And as always, I'm joined with my buddy, Jimmy the Don.
What's going on, everybody?
Our special guest host tonight, Chip Gettler. And down below, out from the swamps, we got the Brock Ness Monster on the show. So, Brock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Good. Doing good.
Well, before we get you going, I just want to flip it over to Jimmy real quick and have him give a little talk about what's going on over at Smalltown Collectibles and the current promotion he has going. Jimmy, take it away, sir.
First off, Chip, I think you need to talk to management about that intro and the fact that your logo's not there. I mean, I don't know who you talked to about that, but I think you should address that. Yeah.
He didn't pay his dues,
Oh,
Jimmy.
is that what it is? Okay. No, what Gary B's talking about is I currently have my 1,000 subscriber push going. I decided once I hit about 850 that I was actually going to try to make the push to get to 1,000 subs. I've already got my watch hours, so just got to get to the 1,000 subs now. That was the second goal, right? So 100 subs was the first goal, 1,000 subs the second, and then 1 million. So what we've got going on, we're going to do a massive giveaway. I have 10 other channels, 2 of which are here right now with Gary B and Chip Gettler. Everybody made individual videos for their channel, and it's titled STC 1000 subscriber giveaway. And first, you need to go watch Chip's. We need to watch everybody's, but Chip's is really good.
It really is.
Thank you.
On the video that I did, it's a little longer form. You know, I just kind of talked about each channel and what these guys mean to me, and in my YouTube journey and my YouTube family. And then they made and in my video, you'll comment hashtag STC1000. That'll get you entered into one of the giveaways that I do that night when we do the live Gary B's and Chip's videos. And then we've got, let's see, I know I'll leave somebody out. DJ Links, Remy Q, Comic Vet,
Comics.
Whack Comics, Rob's Fat Stacks O Comics, Nick's Kicks and Comics, obviously Chip and Gary, and Slot It Up. So you go over there, you comment hashtag the Don, and you'll get entered into the giveaway for the stuff they're going to be giving away on that night. And everybody's put up some really nice stuff. Go check out Slot's video. The thing he's giving away is ridiculous.
Yep.
So go over and check all that out, and we're going to try to make this push to 1,000 subs. And then 2, if you didn't see it today, on 10 questions, I interviewed Comic Tom 101. That was really cool, and that's part of the subscriber push as well, was having Tom on and hopefully drawing some of his viewers in, and with Gary B's hashtag Grow Together movement, helping all of the channels grow. So hopefully that's how it works out. But that's what we got, 1,000 sub giveaway.
Excellent. All right, Brock, you are now in the hot seat, sir.
Follow that, Brock.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, Brock, give everyone a quick introduction to yourself for anyone that might not know who you are here.
All right. I'm Brock Morgan, and I am a comic book collector, obviously. Primarily Marvel, primarily like older stuff. I do a lot of I do YouTube. I do a lot of like comic book mystery boxes and occasional comic book hauls. That's really about it.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
You got a book behind you that I've been jealous of ever since I saw it on your channel, and it's a beauty.
It's
What's
the
that?
Vampirella.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm not even a Vampirella guy. It's just the fact that is probably just such an iconic Frank Frazetta cover. It's just a beauty.
It's not that he's a Vampirella guy, but he's a female guy.
I am.
Loves those females.
He's a female guy. What?
He's a female guy, as he says.
21, Brock. All kinds of
telling you, man. I'm telling you, it is.
Fresh out of surgery, Brock.
Yeah.
So I do.
Doesn't he look good?
I have an interesting story about that book. So I actually am not a big Vampirella collector myself, or even really a Franzetta collector. I do love Franzetta's artwork. But so the story behind that book or magazine is my stepfather was actually a huge fan of Vampirella, Creepy, Famous Monsters, like all of the horror magazines that were out in the late 60s and early 70s. And I saw that when I was comic hunting. And I was like, I got to get it, which my stepfather passed away in 2017. So it was kind of like this moment where I was like, I can't not get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was awesome. And I immediately texted my mom. I'm like, look what I found, you know? And she's like, oh my gosh, you know, he would have loved that. And so it was just kind of a cool moment, you know, aside from how key of a book it is, it's got like a special sort of thing for me personally. So yeah, it was really cool to find.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
Did
awesome.
he used to read the new book that came out, the Creeps, which is in the same vein as those horror books? It's all black and white horror.
He was more into like the old stuff, you know what I mean? So if I were to like have shown that to him, he probably would have been all about it. But he had a collection of like Creepy and, you know, the Famous Monsters, and he was like super into that. He introduced me to the Hammer horror films, like
Nice.
Christopher Lee as Dracula and all that. So it was very cool.
Some of the most iconic covers on those old books, they had artists like Ken Kelly, Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, Earl Norem. You just had incredible fantasy and horror authors working on those. So who got you into comics? Like, what age did you start? Or have you always been in it, or did you get in and out like all of us did? Or like, where's the drive come from?
I started at, you know, as a kid, like a lot of people. I have a brother that's 3 years older than me, and we were just kind of both in it together. Like he had a paper route, and then I would just like beg my mom for money, you know what I mean? Or do chores around the house so I could buy literally like 1 or 2 comics, you know what I mean? And so we were just kind of in it together. And of course, like as kids, you know, all the animated shows were out like in the early 90s and stuff. And around that time, it was like the X-Men Jim Lee run, the Spider-Man McFarlane run, you know, Spawn was coming out. So we were into it, you know, when all that stuff was coming out. And then as a teenager, I kind of got out of it. And then like as probably about 15 years ago, I got really back into it.
Was it your stepdad that kind of got you back into it? You know, you said that, or was that always kind of, you know, part of it?
No, you know, he wasn't into like comic books per se. He was into just kind of general, like old school 70s horror, and like the Universal monsters and stuff like that. But no, my mom and my stepdad got married later in life. So when it was me and my brother when we were growing up that we were just both into it. You know, we were into comics and action figures and Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. So basically like anything that he did with his friends, like, you know, I was tagging along, like I wanted to do it too. So just hitting up the comic book shop. And, you know, like I said, we would scrape together what little bit of money we had to buy like maybe one or 2 issues at a time. And then, yeah, that was it.
Now, you look too, from watching your videos and just, I've been watching your channel now for probably almost a year since I discovered you, that like the rest of us here, it looks like Bronze Age collecting is your favorite era of comics. Is that true?
Yeah. So the way I look at it, I love Silver Age, but it's becoming harder and harder to get like Silver Age. And, you know, Bronze Age is now getting to that point too. The way I look at it, so Silver Age is just classic, you know what I mean? And then you've got sort of like Bronze Age. I think it was the best time for both the combination of art and story. Whereas like if you read some old Silver Age, it's kind of campy. Right. And you know, there's not they don't really get into like deep issues and things like that. It's kind of cut and dry, like superhero stuff. It's like, you know, some evil guy is trying to take over the world, and you've got your hero over here to stop him, and then move on to the next issue.
Right, it's super teased up.
Yeah, when you get into the Bronze Age, they started dealing with more like social issues and things like that. So I think Bronze Age for me, I think is where the majority of my collection lies for sure. I mean, obviously, I would love to have more Silver Age, but like I said, it's just Silver Age just gets harder and harder to find. So,
right, and I think with the Bronze Age, like you were saying, there's almost well, first of all, it was such a creative time period with so many iconic characters coming out, but with all those characters coming out, there was at least something for everyone to identify with. Where you don't always get that now, and you didn't always get that in the Silver Age.
right.
But Bronze Age, I think there's generally some kind of character that anyone out there that was reading could identify with and latch onto and follow.
Hey, Brock, have you gotten into any Golden Age books? Like, I know I watch these channels like Jerry the Jitterbug and Caps on Comics, and shout out to those guys, both awesome channels. And it has piqued my interest in the Golden Age, whereas before I was kind of like you, Bronze Age, some Silver, I read a lot of modern stuff. Have you ventured into any of that?
So, it's just kind of price, but something that I've always really wanted to get into is some pre-code horror Golden Age, like Tales from the Crypt, that stuff. I would love to have some of that stuff, even in like really low grade. It's just kind of a matter of price, really. But yeah, I've always wanted to have some of the like Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. So.
Like the Black Cat when it was a horror mag. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
All that pre-code horror is awesome.
I'm a big horror fan too, so I mean it just goes hand in hand.
Really? So, favorite horror movie, Brock?
So there's
only one right answer, so don't mess it up.
Well, I know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear, but so the thing is, I specifically actually collect zombie movies.
Okay.
So as outside of comics, that's kind of like the main thing that I do. I have somewhere around 300 zombie movies. So, of course, my favorite movie is the original Night of the Living Dead. That's my favorite. I know you want to hear The Thing. What I will say is The Thing is probably my favorite non-zombie horror movie. It is just a classic movie.
It is. I'll let you have it. I'll let you
and I'm there with you at the Night of the Living Dead. By far the best.
Yeah, hands down, my favorite movie.
For me. Yep, mine too.
I'm a big wuss. Like, I don't like horror movies at all. Like, even today, even as I've gotten older, like, they just scare me. I don't know. Like, there's some I'll watch, but like, I might not sleep good that night. Which I had a cousin though when I was a kid, Brock, and maybe you had some. I had a cousin that loved horror movies, and when I was really little, she scarred me. She made me watch Children of the Corn. And I was really young, and for whatever reason, that messed with my head. And from that point forward, I could not watch a horror movie. I just didn't like it.
Wow. See, I think I was like 10 the first time I saw the original Night of the Living Dead. And it was just on TV. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I don't know. I was just like enamored by it. And it just like kind of took me down this path of like, of course, any George A. Romero zombie movie. Yeah. And then, from there you get into other stuff. There's a whole separate genre of like what they call Italian gore. Mm-hmm. So you got like the Lucio Fulci movies, and that's like, it is what it sounds like. They're very gory, but I kind of just went down this path, and it started out, I collected like VHSs. Of course, now that's that thing of the past. So,
right.
But yeah, that's my other main, I guess, collecting type thing. Yeah.
So for someone that's coming new into horror movies in general, what would you say are what are the 5 staples that you would say? You got to see these 5. We know already we're not a Living Dead. That's number 1.
Right.
What would you say some of the others?
Well, for me, if you're just starting out, like I would start with like classic, like any of the Universal monsters. I mean, and those aren't like, scary.
Yeah,
so,
but they're
Jimmy,
classics.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
But
don't worry, the mummy won't get you.
So you have like the different genres too. So you've got your like 80s slasher movies, which are just campy and kind of goofy, you know what I mean? And then like I have a 17-year-old stepdaughter, and she loves any of the like The Conjuring and like any of those types of movies. Like I don't really get into those that much, but like I'll sit and watch them with her. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just if you're first starting out, go with classics. Universal Monsters. The Thing is another great movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything John Carpenter is good.
Yeah, there's something wrong with all you. I mean, I don't know. No, I'm not. I mean, for real though,
but you like the something is killing the children.
No,
right?
I do. I have found, and let me ask you this, Brock, because this is since you're into the horror, like there seems to be kind of this renaissance of horror comic books, with like something is killing the children and books like that. Yeah. Was that your question, Chip? I'm sorry.
No. By all means, no. You're going.
And I have found that I actually enjoy those, like Nice House on the Lake, those types of books. I really have liked them. Do you read some of the modern horror? Do you like that stuff?
Yeah, so something that's killing children has been great. Nice House on the Lake, I think, is going to be big. I mean, really anything that James Tynion IV is doing is just, it's out of the box. And I think that's why people are gravitating toward it. You know what I mean? I love the superhero genre. I just do. But I think eventually you just want something else. You know what I mean? And that's like that perfect sort of gateway. It's just something different. You know what I mean?
Bunny Mask is really good.
Oh, it's so good.
I need to check that one out.
It's so
that's
messed
a good
up.
one. That is a messed up movie.
Yeah, that's a messed up book, but it is good.
It is good. Yep.
And that's what the Grave from Scout Comics was a great
good
series.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I know that when I started collecting, I was really collecting the superhero type of things when I first came into it. But now I'm finding myself buying more and more of those independents and a lot more horror. And it's kind of weird because like I would start with Gideon Falls and Oblivion Song and things like that, and they're not really horror per se, but they're not really, and now you're into Department of Truth and all the others. So are you kind of more of when you go to the comic shop, are you really like going for independence? Are you going for the Marvel? Or I know you say you're not really a DC guy, but.
So really, in general, I actually don't buy a lot of the current stuff. It has to be something that really piques my interest. So it just kind of varies. A lot of it too has a lot to do. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of reviews and things like that.
Yeah.
So based on different reviews and stuff, I might pick stuff up. Like the Zdarsky Daredevil run has been really good. Trying to think of the other ones that I've kind of picked. Like I just went to the comic book shop yesterday. I picked up Moon Knight #1. That was the only new comic I picked up. I'm primarily like a back issue collector for the most part. So, but I do pay attention to what's going on with the current stuff. Just in case there's something, you know what I mean? So,
Man, I wish I had your willpower. I go in there and it's like FOMO, give me. Well, it's insane.
The way I look at that is, I've always just been interested in Bronze Age and Silver Age. So when I go into a comic book shop, I only have so much money. So it's like I could buy, let's say 10 new comic books that came out that week, or I could go dig through the back issues and find, however many back issue comics, from the Bronze Age, Copper Age, whatever.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
Depending if you get a good deal. Yeah. Cool.
It's tough to balance it because I have my core group of heroes, which I'm always going to follow, and with the resurgence with everything in the last year and all of them having titles, like it's been, there's Captain Marvel, there's Black Cat. Conan came back in 2019, which just lit me all up all over again. But all the core ones I follow, they all have their own books now. And these are all, I always like more niche characters, so they didn't always have stuff to follow. And now with the movies and everything out, all these characters that I grew up with and fell in love with, they're all just rising right now. And it's tough to, because I got to read them. I have to.
Yep.
Well, and see that's one of the plus sides about doing mystery boxes is you will get some newer stuff, and then you can find out like what it's all about. Like maybe I'm interested in this, things like that. So that's one of the plus sides about doing a mystery box.
Hey, Brock, as far as I know since I got back into the hobby, the way that I collect changes. I mean, I'm going through another metamorphosis right now in the way that I collect. And I'm starting to read some books digitally. I never did that before, but a lot of the new titles, especially the titles that I love, like Superman and Batman and some of those others outside of having a first appearance, I've almost started to read them digitally just because of space and different things. And I've really kind of gotten back into looking at older books, similar to what you're doing. Have you always collected the way you collect now, or has that changed and, as the years have gone on?
Really? So I have really actually never gotten into the digital thing. I could see the value in it, because especially if it's like a huge key issue that you're not going to be able to afford. And well, I mean, they have facsimiles now, so you could always go that route, but you could go digital and read that way. But for me, there's just something about holding it in your hand. Like, you can smell the old paper. You know what I mean? Like it just, there's just nothing like that.
Now,
oh no, you're right. That is the best thing about old books. I like reading the old ads as much as I do anything. You get an old book and reading those old ads. So awesome.
Yep.
And you know what my favorite ads are? The old Hostess ones in the Marvel and DC books, where they have like some cheesy, like they're stopping some cheesy villain and they solve it with like a Hostess fruit pie or a ding-dong or something. I don't know. They're cheesy but fun.
Most people would be like, it's a spy glasses, or it's not getting kicks, sand kicked in your face, and
Yeah,
it's all about those pies.
I love that. They show the bodybuilder and they're like, "Are you a weakling? Then fill in for this, and we'll make you strong."
Joe Weider ad.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Brock, let's talk about your slabs too. When did you get into slabbing comics? And what was your introduction to the slab marketplace? Okay,
so really what you see behind me is all I have as far as slabs. There's one that you just can't quite see off camera, but that's all I have. So the last year was the first time I actually bought a slab, and that was go up here, Doctor Strange. It's a 7.5. It's the Doctor Strange 169. So it's when Strange Tales switched over to the Doctor Strange title for like 15 issues. Yeah. And it was kind of just one of those things where I was like, I just wanted to do it. Like, I've never owned a graded comic. I'm going to do it. And of course that one's not exactly a small one. So I did spend a little bit of money towards it. Mm-hmm. And then last year I did my first actual submission. And it was just 3 books. So it's something that I never really planned on doing, but then at one point I was like, just try it out and see, you know what I mean?
What was your hold up from, like, why wouldn't you want to grade books? Do you just like to read them? I mean, you like to have them where you can always read them. Like, what was your, I guess, hesitation in doing that?
Really, honestly, I didn't have anything against it. I know there are people that are like, oh, that's, whatever, money grab, blah, blah, blah. But it just boiled down to money. I mean, and you have to really look at it like an investment. And perfect example, the Doctor Strange comic that I bought a little over a year ago, it's now almost doubled in value from what I paid for it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's where the investment part of it comes in. The Gold Gambit that's next to it up there, I actually found that at the comic shop, and it was $20. And then that was one of the ones that I sent in, and it came back a 9.8, and it now goes for a little over $1,000 because that is actually it's a dealer variant from the regular black cover that normally came out. So basically that gold cover was only given to dealers. So it's much more rare than the regular black cover. So
that's cool.
I lucked out on that one. So
what would you say what's your prized possession in your collection? Whether it's on the wall or not.
It'll be the one right here. If I can get out of the way. X-Men, First Spirits of Juggernaut.
Now, my apologies, guys. We had a big storm here, so the internet's been kind of funky over here for the last couple of days.
Nobody cares, Gary B. We didn't miss you for a second. Chip and I had this thing rolling.
Wait, he was actually gone?
Yeah, right. I didn't even notice.
Jimmy's like another one.
It just gives us a chance to get a question in. That's all.
That's right.
But no, that's that will probably be my favorite comic in the collection, because when I did get back into collecting roughly like 15 years ago, that was actually the first comic I bought. And so that was what got me back into it, because when my brother and I were collecting as kids, we could never afford stuff like that. We didn't have Silver Age, you know what I mean? And very little Bronze Age. It was mostly just the stuff that was coming out at the time.
Yeah.
And so I really don't know what happened. I just sort of like one day I just started looking up comics. Like there was nothing that sparked my like re-interest in it. I just was bored one day, started looking them up, and I just started looking up Silver Age X-Men books. X-Men and Amazing Spider-Man have always been my two main titles that I collect. And so I just found that one, and that, you know, that was like my first kind of reintroduction and first big comic book purchase. So
very cool. Very cool. Yeah. My first introduction, or my first comic it's not even a key comic, but it's like one of the comics I'll never get rid of, because it's the first comic that I bought when I came into this, you know, a few years. I've only been a few years. So unlike you, 15, but yeah. So one of the other questions I had is, I know you had your wife doing a unboxing with you one time, and you were trying to guess, and you did pretty damn good, by the way, man, because I would have never been able to catch half of those things, because I'm just not that type of collector. But is there other things that you kind of like bring her into to do more future videos with, you know, because I thought it was cute, I thought it was fun, you know?
No,
it's different.
I was planning on doing that more often. Pretty much same format, just where like she's the one, you know, opening the mystery box, and then I try to guess whatever. And then I just haven't gotten around to doing another video like that. So I'm probably going to do one pretty soon, because Michael Ackery's got a box coming out this weekend. And so what I'm thinking about doing is switching it up a little bit. I think I'm going to buy 2 of his boxes, and we're going to do one each. So I'm going to make her guess.
There you go. That's a good idea. See, that's a good idea. There you go. Definitely. Yeah, I always like it when the people like, you know, you're the person known on YouTube, but I like similar to like Remy Q. I don't know if you watch his, but he'll have his wife on, and it's like sometimes his wife is the funnier part of the whole conversation, because she just gets in these rants, and I just think it's so fun, you know, to bring in and include your significant others, especially if they're willing to do it, you know. Yeah,
like one of my favorite ones to watch on YouTube is Bearded Comic Bro.
Yeah.
The Friday videos with his with Mrs. Bearded. I love those.
Yeah. So very cool. Very cool.
I'm going to ask you the most important question that you're going to get asked tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What T-shirt do you have on?
Misery Index.
See, all right. So let me tell you what drew me to Brock. Started watching his channel. He had all these cool T-shirts, and I was like, dude, I love that band. You know, and that's really like, it wasn't just the comic books. Brock has insane comic book knowledge. Like, if you don't watch his channel, you should go sub up right now. Brock knows his stuff, and he's a lot of fun to watch open a mystery box. What drew me was the T-shirts. So talk to me a little bit about your musical taste, Brock, because I know we share that in common. You know, like I said, he's always got these dope shirts on. So talk to me a little bit about your musical taste.
So I am definitely a metalhead for sure. I listen to a lot of death metal. You know, the heavier the better. I do. Not so much anymore. I used to go to a lot of shows. But yeah, I'm a heavy music guy. And it's funny because one of my previous jobs, it was a job where I had to wear a uniform. And one of my coworkers, you know, just general conversation, started talking about music. And they said, well, what kind of music do you listen to? And I was like, okay, I'm going to throw out bands, and this lady is never going to know who I'm talking about, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm actually going to Chicago to watch Cannibal Corpse here in a few weeks. And she's like, was it what? And I'm like, yeah, Cannibal Corpse. She's like, what is that? I'm like, it's death metal. She's like, I would have never guessed that you listen to death metal. And she went on to talk about how she like had these sort of like ideas about, you know, metalheads, like, oh, you know, people that listen to death metal are jerks and are mean, whatever. She's like, you're like the nicest metal guy I've ever met. Yeah. And I was like, I guess that's a compliment.
for right now.
Yes, right now, yes. So that was one.
Next weekend.
It's funny you mentioned that, Jimmy, because that was one of the things I noticed when I was looking, just scrolling up and down the thumbnails on his webpage. Just he doesn't own a green or a red or a blue shirt.
No,
Everything's
black.
It's like black. I'm like, oh my lord, the guy doesn't show any color other than the black shirt, which is awesome. I thought it was cool. Makes it easy to pick one up one in the morning.
It's really just because black is slimming. So
hey,
that's why I wear them too. It's all
trust me. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no. Well, no, and it was one of those things like people that know me in my what I call my real life, my day job and things. It blows their mind that I like that kind of music, because I just don't come across as that type of guy that would love Metallica is not death metal, but that's my favorite band of all time. A lot of people think they're really heavy. The stuff that Brock listens to is on a different level when it comes to heavy. So, and then I dig a lot of that too. Now I'm not a big thrash, not a huge fan, but I do like it. And so, yeah, no, it always did because Brock always had these cool shirts on. I was like, that's my dude right there. We'll sub up.
Sub. So I noticed you have a bunch of pops behind you. How big is that collection getting?
So it's funny because you see the pops behind me, but I actually stopped collecting pops pretty quickly. And that was actually something that my wife and I actually kind of got into together when they started getting popular.
Oh yeah.
Like I was buying like all the Marvel ones, and then she was into like some of the different movie ones and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that stopped pretty quick just because, man, it will take over.
It's so easy. That's what we were talking about. It's so easy because they're they're affordable. You can go, $10 and buy, drop $50 and you come home with 5 of those things.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy. I said it can get out of control because that's the rabbit hole I'm trying to stay out of, Chip. Like I am trying to, because I really like music and I like the music pops. Like I want to buy them all and I have to keep myself from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough too. He's like, well, they made a character I like. Well, I'll just get this one. It's a character I like. And then they make like 17 different styles of that one. You're like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just have that one. I mean, look how many different Batman and Spider-Man ones are out there now.
It's insane. I mean, I remember with Slide Up, I actually got the, couple of them. And then all of a sudden now his like whole wall is like full of all the Batman ones that people have sent him and or he's bought over the years. Like, the heck? So yeah, I've been trying to stay away from them myself just because it's tough. I get, family would be like, oh, bought you this pop. It's really cool. I'm like, thanks. Like, oh crap, okay, let's hide it off somewhere else because I don't want them everywhere.
Is there something that you and your wife do collect together if it's not pops, Brock?
Yeah. Not really. She's also into like old horror movies and stuff like that. So that's something we do together. She's actually the one that encouraged me to start my YouTube channel, because I'm not the most outgoing person, like as Jimmy said, in real life. You know what I mean? So for me to start doing the YouTube videos was actually kind of a challenge for me. You've got somebody like DJ Lynx, and you can tell it just comes naturally to him. Like he's just into it. You know what I mean? And for me to get behind the camera and start making videos, like my first 3 videos were just terrible. Like, do not go watch those.
Yeah,
shit, my first 300.
Yeah. But, I was buying all these mystery boxes, even before, like, there was companies doing them and you could get them from Instagram members. I was buying all these, like, mystery boxes from eBay. And I talked about doing, like, unboxing videos. And every time I would get one, my wife would be like, are you going to do a video for it? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then she was like, oh, I'll film it if you want. And I'm like, no. And then finally one day I actually got it was my first Box Heroes box and it came in the mail and she was like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's this, comic book mystery box. And she's like, just do a video. And I'm like, okay, well, I might as well, you know what I mean? And then just come to find out, like the comic book community is like the most like welcoming place ever. I mean, I didn't expect to like make friends and acquaintances and, talk to people about comics. I just thought I was going to put these videos up and then, people would either watch it or not. And that would be the end of it. And then next thing I know, I'm talking to, hundreds of people, in the comic book community and everybody's like, oh, awesome video. And you get all these compliments and it's just cool. Like how the comic book community is. I mean, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Well, take Jason's question from Never Could Figure It Out. He wants to know what your number one favorite box is for unboxing.
Oh yeah.
Number one favorite box. So I think the Instagram boxes are definitely the best. And for me personally, and it's nothing against any other boxes, my favorite box is Retriever Comics.
Yeah, his boxes are dope.
He's got one of the best boxes. I really enjoy Squatchy Comics, his boxes, because you get one of his original covers, which actually he's got one. His next round of boxes, I think, goes on sale tomorrow. So definitely check that out. I haven't personally got one, but Choo Choo Comics does a really good box, and he's got one up right now. But his are high roller boxes, and I think the current one he's got like 4 left. So definitely check that out if you're into the high roller boxes. That's just out of my price range. But I think Acre's got a box coming out Sunday. But yeah, Retriever has probably been my favorite. Nothing against any of the other ones, but
you know what's so weird about it is you've said all these names and you know like them in detail, and I'm sitting there saying I've never heard of these guys. I've never heard of, and I'm on Instagram. I've been on Instagram for a long time, and I'm just like I've never really said, yeah, wow, it's small. It's weird how you think the comic community is so small, but it really is pretty big, and there's so many opportunities out there to grab different types of boxes from different people.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
No, Cree definitely has a good box. Retriever puts out a really, I love Retriever boxes. I try to grab one of those every time he puts a run out. Squatchies, I have not bought one yet, and I want to because I dig his art. And that's one that's on my radar.
Amazing.
I know. It's so crazy.
Covers are amazing.
So one thing I will say about Squatchy's boxes, if you go to his Instagram, he's been posting all the previews. This round of boxes, so what he does is you get one of his original covers, and then you get other books, and so that he calls them filler books. But I would say from the previews I've seen, his filler books in this round are the best that they've ever been. He's actually got there was 2 copies of the second appearance of Blade, and he didn't even realize that's what that was. So he's one of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, and he was kind of talking about it because he bought like a big Bronze Age horror lot off of eBay, and it was to put in his mystery boxes. And he's like, holy crap, this is the second appearance of Blade. It goes for like a lot of money. And he's like, there's actually 2 copies in here. So he's going to have stuff like that in his box coming up. So,
yeah.
So when you get a mystery box, like what makes a good mystery box to you? Like, for Brock Morgan to open, I know what you like the older stuff, but like,
right.
Is it, a few fillers, would you rather have like $5, $10 books? Like what makes a good mystery box for you?
So it kind of depends because for me personally, I'm okay with getting like a couple filler books as long as, your last 1 or 2 books kind of hit that value. Like I wouldn't even say it has to necessarily be overvalue. I know a lot of people say that.
That's the Comic Vantage formula.
Yeah. Like Comic Vantage, I love Comic Vantage boxes too. And the thing about Vantage boxes is you kind of know going into it, you're going to get 5 books, and like the first, 3 or 4 books are going to be kind of like filler stuff, but it's your values in the last couple books. So, and you might get luckier. Like my last Vantage box, I actually got a first appearance of Jubilee. So, I mean, that's a bigger book. So that book alone made the value of the entire box. So, but yeah, those ones that I've named, those are my kind of go-to regular boxes. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I got comics. He's another one that does really good boxes.
Yeah, Man's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
And so is Digger Jim. He doesn't put them out often, but when Digger Jim puts out a box, and also Fletch.
And Jimmy Jams. Jimmy Jams does a cool box.
T. Ravis does a good box too.
Yep.
So, Brock,
I know some of those names.
Now, like us, Jimmy and I talk about this all the time. Jimmy and I were both like kind of new channels, but then all of a sudden you make friendships and you find a group that you connect with, and you form this relationship. And it seems like you did that with like Stevie B, Comic Foo, Squatchy. How did you guys fall together?
So I put out my first video, and Stevie B gave me a shout out on one of his videos because he's one of those that's really good about shouting out other channels.
Yep, he gave me my first one.
Right. And so, like, shortly after that, they invited me to come on their Mystery Men show where they open the Comic Vantage boxes. And I ended up going on there like 4 different times. Because, like, the way they do it is once they invite you on, what they do is they actually send you a Vantage box for free, like as an AOK to open on their show. And then after that, once you've been on the show, you basically just invite yourself on. Like if you want to grab a Vantage box and then hit up, Foo, they'll let you come on basically. So I ended up going on their show like 4 different times. And then, I just kind of fell in with that crew, so.
And those guys have a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah. If you want to have a good time, definitely go watch a Mystery Men show. It's hilarious.
Well, no, like it is true though, but like I was so excited when I found out we were talking to Brock this week that I actually messaged him last night. Was like, dude, I am fired up to talk to you, and it's just funny. I feel like I know Brock personally because I watch his videos all the time, but then you get to meet that person and actually get to talk to him. It's really cool. I said, and you're right, Brock. It is. It's such an inviting community. And I say it a lot. I never dreamed I would make friends over YouTube. I'm old. I just didn't think that was what you did, but it absolutely happens. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And it does.
But yeah, obviously there's other people in the community that I talk to within comments and stuff like that. Like I think DJ Lynx, when he started doing more videos involving like comics and stuff, like I was hitting up his comments and I was like, fascination with butter. That's another Foo thing, just so you know. I'll talk about that in a second. So
yes, I want to know.
But like I was watching like DJ Lynx and this was back when he kind of first was getting into comic stuff and he was doing Hot Toys review video. And, from there, like I was just commenting on his videos and then we were commenting back and forth on each other's videos and stuff like that. So even if you don't get to know people like really close, I mean, you still get to know people. Like Actual Dracula is another one that I kind of talk to on Instagram every once in a while, stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But the butter thing, so that was something that came about in like our private group chat. So if you guys know the Mystery Men guys, they have this thing where they'll send an AOK with glitter.
Right.
They even got DJ Lynx.
DJ, I saw it.
Yeah, he got hit with the Foofetti, as they call it. So I don't even remember how it came up, but in our private chat one day, they were like, oh, what if, just being stupid. They were like, what if we sent somebody butter? And I think I put back like, yeah, send me butter, see what happens. So then that just instantly became a thing. Like they said they were going to send me butter in an AOK. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
so
that's
it's just
funny.
one of those things.
that could lead to some disturbing videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So now, in my day-to-day, I have a few people I can talk comics with. Not everybody usually does. Do you have that buddy that you could talk comics with, or is it mostly just the YouTube community that you speak comics with?
So I actually have like my best friend he collects Batman, but he pretty much only collects Batman, but he kind of has a little bit of knowledge about other comics. So like I'll talk to him and be like, oh, something about Marvel Comics, like, he'll ask me like what I've been picking up lately. And I'll be like, oh, this is the first appearance of this character, blah, blah, blah. And then like, if I get together over his place, he collects comics, but he's actually gotten really into statues, like the Sideshow, like giant, like,
Right.
$1,000, $1,200 statues. Like he's bought like 5 of them now. And I'm like, you're insane. First of all, and second of all, that is awesome. But yeah, so, we talk back and forth. And then I have another friend who actually reads digitally. He doesn't collect comics like at all, but he does read everything like digitally. So like I can talk to him about comics and stuff too. So yeah, I got a couple people that I do talk to. So
I was trying to read Drax's comment.
I was too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all trying to read Drax's comment.
Oh yeah, he's talking about the live chat for the Mystery Men show, which is just that live chat just will go off the rails for their show sometimes.
Now, are you a run completionist, Brock? Because you're big into the Bronze Age. So when you're focused on something, are you mostly working on a run to finish it, or are you just buying whatever catches your interest when you're in the store?
So everything I do always boils down to completing runs. The issue I have is I have what I like to call comic book ADD. So one week I'm picking up, Daredevil, and then the next week I'll find, like Avengers comics and stuff like that. So basically pretty much anything volume 1 of Marvel, I'm always trying to complete full runs of. But the main 2 titles is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 and X-Men Volume 1. And I'm a little over 50% on both of those. So yeah, it's always about completing the run for me. I have a lot of like bigger key issues, but it's all because I'm completing the run. So That's what it goes to in the end.
So you're not primarily a key issue shopper. You're more of like, I love these characters. I need to have all these books.
Right. So I actually just filmed a Comic Haul video today. It was actually I stopped into a flea market, and there was a comic book booth. And it was kind of one of those things where like, I was like, I probably won't find any like key issues, but I'm sure I can find some stuff that'll go towards completing runs. And that's what it ended up being. So the video itself may not be the most entertaining, but it is what it is. And actually they had a deal going on where like all the books in this booth were like $1 and $2. And then they had a deal going on for the month. They were half off. So I got like a big giant stack of books, and I think I paid like $20. So even though there was no like big key issues, it was still stuff that'll go towards completing runs.
See, my LCS is like that sometimes because he has one section that's just 50-cent bins, and he doesn't put garbage books in there. A lot of those books are worth $1, $2, $3 a piece, and they're all filler books you need, and books that are still really fun reads. Not everything's got to be a key, but then you'll have a half off sale. And you're getting these books that are worth $2 to $5 a book for a quarter.
Right.
I'll go in there and I'll buy a whole run of something. Like I bought Night Force, all 14 issues. I paid $7 for a complete run, or for this. And when I got back into it, I'm going to guess you're kind of like me in this regard. Nostalgia was a big part. Like things I read as a kid.
Oh yeah.
But when you're a kid, you can't. It wasn't easy to find these books all the time. And one of my big ones when I first got back into it was completing ROM. And I had read ROM books here and there, and I was a big ROM fan, Conan, ROM, and I was able to get all 75 of those issues, plus the 4 annual, plus all the other Marvel titles that he appeared in. I was like, whew. And there's a rush to completing a run. Like when you get them all, it's done. Like when I completed my Conan the Barbarian run, and I just couldn't believe it. I don't know. Do you get that same feeling when you complete a run?
So there's a feeling of accomplishment, but at the same time, there's almost a feeling of like, well, that one's done now, so I'm not going to be picking that one up anymore. They're not, huge runs, but earlier this year, I did complete She-Hulk and Spider-Woman, which I know are both titles that Gary collects. But I completed those, and it was just kind of like, all right, well, now I'm not going to be picking up any more of these particular issues.
So there's kind of first runs of those, right?
What's that?
You're talking the first runs of those, right? The Savage She-Hulk run and the first
the 25 issue run and the 50 issue run.
Oh, I completed both of those. It was a great feeling.
Yeah. It's sort of a bittersweet thing. I mean, it does feel like you've accomplished something, but at the same time, it's like you're like, okay, well, now I have to move on to a different title now.
Or start over again.
Yeah, I read them.
Right.
Like when I got the Savage She-Hulk this year, and I got lucky with that because I won it.
I saw that.
I won issues 1 through 24, and I had to buy 25. And I got issue 25 out at CBCS now because I have a near mint copy, and that black cover is hard to find in near mint. So I'm hoping for a 9.8. I have my reader copy, which is like an 8.5. But man, just going through and reading it, and I don't know, it just takes you back. Like you were talking about earlier, you open that book and that smell hits you. You got the old newsprint. You got they feel different than today's books too. They have their own life into them. And when you sit down with a Bronze Age book, you're sitting down for 15, 20 minutes. You're having a good read. You're not sitting down for 4 minutes with a modern book. You're like, oh, that was all right. And you're moving on. But what is the best old read that you've gotten into lately? Like an issue that just blew you away?
That's a tough one. I had a chance to flip back through. I guess it's not really that old. I think it's 1980, but Moon Knight #1 from the ongoing series. Like I kind of flipped through that recently, and that was just kind of a cool read because Mark Spector is kind of a complicated character with him being basically nuts. You know what I mean? Like schizophrenic. Yeah. So it was an interesting read for sure. So yeah, I wanted to kind of get refreshed on that because I know the Moon Knight show's coming at some point. So, but yeah, and then I bought the Moon Knight one that just came out, so I kind of wanted to do a comparison. So I actually read the 1980 Moon Knight, I think earlier this week. So.
Hey Gary B, throw DJ's comment back up there about.
I was waiting for because I wanted
to see. Yeah, I want to see what Brock thinks about that.
Does condition of the book matter? So for my personal collection, I generally most of my collection is raw. I don't have very many slabs, but I generally go for roughly like a 6.0 or better, and most of my collection probably is in that 6.0, 7.0 run range. So it matters, but it also depends on the age. So I have some Silver Age stuff that's probably in the lower, kind of 4.0, 3.0 range, but majority of the stuff I try to get, roughly around the 6.0, right in the middle.
I think it's about availability of an issue.
Right.
Sometimes I'm happier with a lower grade copy just to get it. You can always get a higher grade copy later.
Yep,
but there's some issues that if you don't get it when you see it, you're probably not going to end up with another chance for a couple of years at least to try to get that comic again.
Especially with the way that the comic book market is now. I mean, and if it's anything that's been announced for a movie or a show, if you're not already on it, you're done. I mean, like Kang. Look at Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah,
those books are blown up. I mean, and they have been for a little bit, but now they're really just through the roof. So if you were interested
this year,
that
was a $50 bin book before that show,
right? So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. The shows and the movies are just driving the prices, and if you're not ahead of what's coming out, and then you've already missed out. You know what I mean? She-Hulk is a perfect example. Look at She-Hulk #1. I mean, for the longest time, that was a $15 or $20 book. Yeah. And then as soon as they announced the show, and especially the casting, it's through the roof. That's $100, $120 book raw now, if it's in better condition. So, yeah.
As far as, do you have availability, Brock, as far as, do you have a lot of shops around you, or do you have to get creative and go to antique stores and flea markets and things like that to find books?
So I'm actually lucky in that there's not actually a comic book shop. 6.0. That's how I got through. I like that.
Yeah, I did too. It made me laugh when I saw
it. So I'm lucky because I don't actually have a shop in my town anymore. We used to, but it closed down because it was the guy that was running it was very part-time and he just couldn't keep up with it. But I'm lucky in that I have roughly about 8 comic book shops within what I would call driving distance. And so I never run out of places to go. And then on top of that, there is actually a lot of flea markets and antique shops and stuff like that I can always check out. Like I said, I just went to the flea market the other day just because I already knew they had a comic book booth there. So I thought, well, it's, worth checking out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm lucky in that because I know a lot of people I've heard talk about how they don't even have a comic book shop within driving distance. So
yeah, I'm the same way. I've got like 4 within my range of probably within 15 minutes of my house. My local is like 3 minutes down the road. So
I got 5.
Yeah,
I only shop at 1 because.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you work there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, like for me,
discount.
Well, like for me, it's 45 minutes to an hour in each direction for me to get to a shop. Where my office is, the comic book shop's 5 minutes from my office. So I'm there every day, so it's easy for me to run up there. But for me to go anywhere else, I'm going to have to drive an hour plus. And if you want to go to some really good shops, like really bigger shops, I got to go to Lexington, which is, 2.5 to 3 hours away. So, it's why I always ask, because you have to be, never could figure it out on here. We live in the same hometown, and you have to be really creative about where you go find books. Like you have to look in antique stores and see if you can find some gems, or go to the flea market and find some gems. It's just more difficult in these rural areas.
Now, I wanted to ask you another question too about how you collect, Brock. So, what do you think right now, especially being a Bronze Age collector and the way those books blow up? What do you think is the biggest challenge to you collecting right now in today's marketplace? Do you think it's the movies and the speculation, or you think it's the way online sales have driven Bronze Age and Silver Age comic prices?
I think so. From my perspective, like when I got back into collecting, like I said, around 15 years ago, and comparing to what books were going for then versus what they're going now, the movies and the TV shows, I think, are just completely driving the prices up. So
They are.
I think the online sales are an afterthought of that, because I think regardless, I think people would still be looking for specific issues that were involved with the movies and the TV shows. And then now you've got Disney Plus doing their shows. I mean, that's been a huge boost. So it's one of those things where, like, yes, it's good for the business, but at the same time, as a collector, you're like, well, crap, I've missed out on, these issues or whatever. And now they're, through the roof. So
yeah, now they're priced out.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of them will cycle back down at some point as you get a little further away from the movies. But, I mean, Disney and Marvel aren't going to stop.
Right.
And then now with HBO Max going to be doing some of the DC stuff, I think you might see some increase in the DC prices as well, because it's usually Marvel that, really holds the most value. DC books, you can pick up keys, usually fairly reasonable. But once HBO Max starts going and you start getting some of those shows, it's going to be the same way.
Yeah, I think right now is the time to pick up key DC books if you're interested in that. There's a few DC books that I am interested in, even though I'm a Marvel collector. Like I said, I like to dabble a little bit in DC. The Spectre is actually my favorite DC character, so I'm trying to complete all the runs of the Spectre.
There you go, hoarders.
I think Red Hood's going to blow up too once he appears.
I do too.
I think he's going to appear probably in Titans if he appears anywhere first, and I think that character will probably be one of the next ones to blow up.
Well, they've shown them, the uniform or the outfit that he's going to wear in the new show. Like that. When does that start? Doesn't it start like pretty soon?
I got to look it up again. But I followed Jimmy and Jason. They're telling me, Gary, go check these shows out on HBO Max. You're gonna like them. I'm like, all right, and I went and checked them out, and I did like them. The Titan show was a lot of fun. The marketing totally convinced me against it, but then when I watched it, I loved it. And then I loved Doom Patrol. I thought it's perfect blend of comedy and horror and sci-fi and heroes. And so in all this we have, what are you watching, Brock? What of all these really works for you? And what are you most excited about that's coming out next? Probably Moon Knight, I'm guessing.
I am really excited to see Moon Knight. I'm not gonna lie. I'm almost curious to see what they're gonna do with She-Hulk. Like,
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I am
You
too.
know,
Yeah.
I want her
me too.
savage though. I don't want her sensational.
right? And I'm almost wondering. I think they might go more into the later volumes. I don't know if they'll stick with Savage, but then again, I swear I saw something that said that maybe the Wrecking Crew might be making an appearance or something like that, which is such a random group of villains. But I would say, yeah, Moon Knight is probably my most anticipated. I'm really excited for the next Thor movie. See where they're going to take that. I'm a huge fan of Doctor Strange, so I'm really excited to see the next Doctor Strange movie. So,
Right, Marty, when is Hawkman going to get a movie? I love Hawkman.
I know he is. You know, he's an underappreciated character. He's got a cool.
He really is.
But
I've always thought as Hawkman and Thor being kind of in the same sort of arena. Like Hawkman is kind of like DC's Thor.
Now, I don't know a lot about Hawkman. I always thought he was a cool design, him and Hawkgirl. But he can die and he resurrects, right?
Yeah, he's reborn over and over.
Yeah.
So, if Brock Morgan could have his own superpower, what superpower would Brock Morgan have?
Oh man, that's tough. Oh geez. I'll be honest, it would be cool to fly. Just personal flight. I know that's probably not what a lot of people would say, but
it would be for me.
It would be cool. Well, yeah, I mean, Superman fan, but
yeah.
And I know that's like a generic answer because like there's so many you could go with, but I don't know. It'd just be kind of neat, I think.
I'm just glad Jimmy didn't say X-ray vision. I wouldn't feel comfortable going to the bathroom.
No, I would fly so I could fly to Texas and take care of Nick's kicks for all these Louisville comments that he keeps dropping on here. Fit him up for cement shoes.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, fit him up for cement shoes. Those are back on, Nick. I just go ahead and tell you.
Hey, Brock, I did have a quick question about your nickname, the Brockness Monster. Well, how did that come about? Where did you get that? Speaking of someone that has a unusual, name as well.
So that was just something that my buddy called me. He's the Batman collector, and I think he actually got that from the Venture Brothers. Pretty sure. And so I just kind of that's what I made my Instagram handle, Brockness Monster, and so I just kind of stuck with it. Because when you're on YouTube, you got to have some kind of nickname, right?
And it worked with the horror angle too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I originally was thinking. It's like, oh, he's got this for the horror, but that's awesome. Cool.
Now, see, being a horror fan, are you ever going to review any horror movies on your channel? Or is it just primarily just going to stay comics?
So I kind of thought about, so I have the big zombie movie collection, and I kind of thought about doing a separate, sort of episodes on my channel where I would, review a zombie movie per episode. But I was I don't know how much interest there would be in that, since I'm assuming the majority of the people that watch my channel are there for the comic books. But I kind of did think about doing that.
Hey, branch out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the comic community, we're just entertainment interest based. So I don't think we just delve into comics. I think interests spread out. And ask Jimmy will tell you he's interested in everything.
If I can get people telling me that they like hearing about coffee in the morning and a comic, trust me, your movie is going to fit right in, especially with horror movies. There ain't no doubt about that.
So I do. I love the coffee in a comic. I thought that was such a genius idea.
I do too. I love
just short little video. Like, here's this comic that I'm reading. Here's this coffee that I'm drinking.
Yeah. Hey, quick it to the point.
Does a great short, and Chip's got great editing skills. All his look nice, but then, and the thing is, Chip was right. The shorts do bring attention to your channel. And since I took Chip's advice and I started doing shorts, and it's brought me new subs every week just off the shorts. Yeah. So regardless if they count against your hours or not, they do help bring traffic. And where you get the hours from that is when they watch your other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you get me for a copyright infringement if I did a zombie movie and a beer short? Similar.
No, I'd be watching. You're watching and popping a bear with you.
I would 100% watch a Brock Morgan horror movie review. I would.
Yeah.
I would even watch the movie
yeah.
and come on. And I don't even like that stuff. I would come on, hang out with Brock, and talk about a zombie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys talked me into it. Maybe I think I'll start doing that.
And DJ Brock answered this earlier. His favorite movie, a horror movie, is George Romero's first Night of the Living Dead.
I thought it was Glow. No.
The original The Fly.
Yeah.
So we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes. We're going to get to the wrap up here. So we'll have everyone ask their final questions. We'll do our goodbyes, and then we always throw it over to the guests for the final goodbye, Brock. So you can sign off and give a message if you want, or give a plug to someone else or yourself for what's coming up on your channel. But we'll start off with Chip. You got any last minute questions there, Chip?
I guess my final question would be, what would you tell a new comic collector coming into the industry? What would you tell someone that's just coming in?
I would say don't get overwhelmed by what you're seeing in the comic market because of the way the prices are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in a specific comic, just take your time, and eventually, because comics fluctuate, eventually you will be able to get it probably for the price that you want.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Jimmy?
I don't really have another question. I got to ask him what T-shirt he had on. I'm a huge fan of Brock's channel, and I don't get to comment a lot, but I watch every video, Brock, that you put out. You've been one of my favorites since I started YouTube. We were kind of commenting back and forth on each other's stuff, and if you're watching this right now and you're not subbed up to Brock, you need to go over and sub him up. He, like I said, dude has crazy knowledge about the books. When he's opening, like when I open a mystery box and I look at a book, I don't know what the hell it is. Brock actually knows what he's looking at, and even if it's a random book, he will know. So definitely go check Brock out. He puts it's a great presentation. Just you can't beat him. I'm a huge fan of Brock, and like I said, dude, I was so excited to actually get to meet you, tonight, and I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you guys having me on. This was awesome.
And my final question is going to be a two-parter. What your biggest comic win and your biggest comic oopsie?
Oh, man. All right. Well, I can start out with the oopsie because I know exactly what it is. So I don't really sell comics right now, but 10 years ago I did on eBay, and I sold an Amazing Spider-Man 300. But back then, you have to keep in mind, it wasn't going anywhere near what it's going for now. And my thought process was, well, I can get this back, roughly for the same amount of money. Well, then maybe like a year later, I looked it up again, and it had already just skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. So that was the biggest oopsie. And biggest win, man. Honestly, I think the gold gambit that's up top here, to find that for $20, and because I knew what it was, and then to send it in and have it come back as a 9.8, that's probably been my biggest win in comics.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well,
yeah, that's awesome.
And I want to echo what Jimmy said. Thank you. I was really excited when you agreed to come on. It's been really fun having you. But I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. We loved having you. It's been super fantastic. And like these shows always do, we're having fun. We're talking to people, and before you know it, an hour and 10 minutes has gone by, and you're like, wow, where did the time go?
Yeah.
And that's the focus of our show. We just want it to be like friends hanging out, and that's where we meet in the middle and have fun. And so thank you so much, Brock. Chip, you want to start out with the sign off, sir?
Yeah. Happy hunting, everyone. Talk to you later.
We got to get you a White Shadow sign off.
I need to.
He can do it. He can go
like,
White Shadow.
Off camera, and I could still see you.
Nick's Kicks and Comics is about to get my wrath. Chip had to make such an outstanding video and made me laugh that I would drive up there and take care of that now. No, right now, for me, if you didn't see it today, 10 questions. I interviewed Comic Tom 101. Super guy. That was a lot of fun for me, and you got to see a peek behind the curtain, I think, of how much work that dude actually puts in, to put the content out he does and why he is on top of the game as far as that goes. And then we've got the 1,000 subscriber giveaway push going. You can go to my channel, my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. There's a link in there to the playlist that has all the videos for all the channels that are participating. Go like those channels, leave the hashtags you're supposed to leave. Sub up to everybody, and we'll hashtag grow together and hopefully get me to 1,000 subs here in fairly short order. So appreciate everybody for all the support, and that's all I got. Nick's Kicks and Comics, I love you too, buddy.
Hey, guys, I'm just going to sign off. I got a few things coming up. I got my Savage Saturday coming up. At some point, I'll be doing a deep dive in my LCS's basement of comics. He's been organizing it, and he's got tons of pre-code horror down there, Brock. He's a big pre-code horror collector. Plus, he has like a full Avengers run and all sorts of stuff like that. He's just got amazing books. But I don't know when that's going to be. We're both two super busy guys with my day job and his owning that comic shop. But just our regular scheduled content. Until next time, guys, as always, keep it casual. Thank you for support. Brock, take us out, sir.
This has been the Brockness Monster, and we will see you on another one.
And awkward ending, awkward ending.